And we're live.
Yeah.
Cory, hey, it's a great day for a great day. And I'm here with Cory Warfield in the Pirate broadcast. And we're going to be talking about a couple of things today, actually. We're going to be talking about LinkedIn, LinkedIn Live, video, Shedwool, helping others, and Cory Connects, right?
That's a newer hashtag for me, and I need to remember to use it every time. But I love it, and every time people kind of rally around that, and it's what I love to do. So absolutely, hashtag Cory Connects.
Well, you've had a phenomenal run of growth in the last. When did you really start pushing for LinkedIn growth? I mean, how long has it been?
It's been almost a year and a half now, and I'd say about 6 months ago is when I really started, or rather about a year ago is when I really started to see a ramp up in kind of engagement,
Uh,
and just followers and connections. And so for the last year, I've taken it pretty seriously. I'm actually in the last couple of months had to take a big step back because I've had so much growth in my company, and I'm working with my executive coach who basically said, "There's no way that what you're doing on LinkedIn is sustainable." And it's got to be detracting from your business. And over the year and a half, I've hired some VRs and some EAs, and that just doesn't fly.
uh,
My brand is authentic, and a lot of
yeah,
my content is live or video of myself, and you just can't you can't you can't fake that, right? So
right.
I've always had to come back to it's all me 100% of the time. So when 100% of the time can't be 100% of the time, right? Then
Yeah.
then I've had to scale down. So I schedule about 2 hours a day for LinkedIn right now, and I pop in once in a while otherwise. But that's a huge step down time wise for me. But yeah, it's been about a year and a half of growth.
Well, I'm really glad that you said that and brought it up because a lot of people look at people with a lot of followers or people that have had phenomenal growth in a very short period of time, and they think, well, how do they do that? There's what magic are they doing? And it's like you don't get the work until you get the work done. You have to put the time in, and it's a phenomenal amount of time and resource from yourself in order to accomplish that. Like this podcast, like this broadcast, the pirate broadcast. I'm doing this, and then I'm offloading a lot of the initial setup and some of you know the graphics and things like that. I can offload some of that, but actually engaging with the audience, engaging with people, getting them on and getting them scheduled and interacting with that, it still takes time. There's no shortcut, right?
So honestly, as a 40-something-year-old man, I can say that's why I'm liking TikTok right now. And TikTok's stolen a little bit of my time off of LinkedIn because I can go there and I never premeditate any of my content. I don't know what I'm going to talk about or post about, and I never have. There's quite literally, there's only been 3 times ever that I knew what I was going to post about on LinkedIn, and it was parts 2, 3, and 4 of a 4-part series. And this is because I started one, I realized there wasn't enough room, so I had to break it in. That's literally the only one time I've known what I was going to talk about. But so I do that on TikTok also. But the difference is with TikTok, in 15 seconds or 30 seconds, that's all I have, and I'm done. I've just broadcasted, and I don't have to go back ever.
Yeah.
I don't have to respond to the comments, and it's become a little bit of a lead generator for me as well. I think that I'm really understanding, the significance of time as a resource and a precious commodity. We
Yeah.
only have so much, and I think there was a time when I realized I couldn't give back to everyone on LinkedIn that was giving to me, and I felt a little bit bad about that. I actually stopped doing videos for a while because I wasn't watching anybody's videos, and incidentally I did a video about how I didn't watch anybody's videos and I felt bad, and so I was going to stop doing my own videos, and I did for several months, and I
Mhm.
must have got over 1,000, well over 1,000 people saying, where are your videos? We missed your videos. Please make
Yeah.
videos. And so finally, I did another video, and I said, listen, here's what I can commit to. If you guys can keep them really short, I'll watch all your videos. I'm going to keep mine really short. So I started the hashtag value in 30. Just did
Yeah.
these quick 30-second videos. They're all subtitled in case you can't get to the volume, and in case you're hearing impaired or hard of hearing, or whatever the case. And those now, I think I started that hashtag 7 or 8 months ago. Got a couple million views on those alone. You probably got 10,000 followers just from that campaign, and people really love that 30-second. Just come in. One of the things I talk about a lot on LinkedIn is it's so many people show up to talk at their audience or try to teach people something. No one's on LinkedIn to learn anything, right?
Yeah.
Like really, we're all there to either to talk, to each other and network, or to maybe find an opportunity. But so I find that when you talk with people instead of at them is really great. So these value in 30s, I'm not there to tell people how smart I am. I'm there to either share something that dumb old me just learned that probably everybody else already knew, or something that
There's all
I
kinds of things we can learn. There's all kinds of
yeah.
things. And that's what I wanted to do with this format was, because I did 2-minute tips for a long time. Same thing. The whole joke was 2-minute tips in 10 minutes or less. And I would just get on and say exactly what was on the top of my head. I didn't know what was going to be the next tip. I didn't know what was going to be the next thing. And, people, then I quit doing it and people said, well, we want your tips. We want your tips, and, I don't know about you, but I believe that there's a certain amount of there's people that enjoy creating video, and there are people that enjoy consuming video, and it's not the same amount of people in each group. Do you agree with that? Or
Absolutely, absolutely. And I hadn't thought about it like that before, but I'd say I learned how to build and scale a software company by watching videos on YouTube, but only because there was an end there. There was a true goal, and it was incredibly strategic and deliberate. But I don't like to just sit around and watch people's videos. I never have, but yet I create probably 3 to 5 a week. And so I think that what you just said resonates and registers with me. It's like, yeah, absolutely. I'm the latter. I like to create videos. I don't really care to watch them unless I'm taking myself to school, kind of a thing.
well, think about, the average person watches 4 hours of TV a day. They're not creating 4 hours of TV a day. They're watching 4 hours of TV a day. So as a creator, I haven't owned a TV since '95. So for me, my mindset is, what can I create today and get something out? Because I create something every day. That's just who I am. And I think you're a lot the same way, is that you have, for me, it's kind of therapy. It's like, okay, get this out, get this, something's on my mind. I need to get it out so I can just not think about it anymore. And you're offering value all day long, every day. And, the 30-minute, the 30 minutes or the 30-second elements are really bite-sized pieces of something that you can share and people can appreciate and enjoy. Right. And
Yeah,
so
and
that,
I like all the mnemonics, but I do live in 5 now as well, right? Little 5-minute
yeah,
lives I
yeah.
just pop in.
So you've been involved in TikTok a little bit then, haven't you?
Yeah, I was just invited to do my first TEDx talk. So we'll see. I had an opportunity to potentially do a TED talk some time ago, but then I looked into it a little bit, did a little diligence, and I realized it's a multi-day endeavor, and that it's kind of there's a lot of
There's an
there,
investment there.
there really is, and where I'm at right now, I want to become a thought leader in the workforce management space, and thank God I've been able to do that. But there's not a huge amount that I could accomplish right now by putting that investment into the TED Talk. So I kind of, just like a book, everybody wants me to write a book. I'm talking to ghostwriters, but there's not a huge, I can't appropriate that time, in other words, to writing a book
Yeah.
right now, or necessarily to the TED Talk. But the TEDx thing is going to be cool, and it's, I've kind of become sought after to speak about one thing and one thing only, and that's the power of engagement. So I've been on both coasts in the last month talking about the power of engagement, and here in Chicago, and this event will be here in the Midwest, but a couple hours from here, and talking about the power of engagement, and when I can tie that into shift work at all, or artificial intelligence at all, which is our work with Shedwool now, then it becomes net positive, and I can always let people see that Shedwool makes work better, and ride that as long as I can. So it's become fun. But yeah, that's the TEDx talk is a little bit lighter weight. I get to show up, and the night before, and leave that evening, and speak to a couple thousand people, and it'll be a blast.
Yeah. And then you could put it on your profile.
I might not, but yeah, I see that on some.
Well, it's an
I see that
option.
on so many.
If you've done
Yeah,
it, it's an option, right?
well, so many people put, and I don't mean any disrespect to anyone that has this, but so many people put Amazon best-selling author, and it's like, that's not a thing. It's
Yeah.
I mean, at least to me in my world, if you're a best-selling author, put best-selling author, and the implication is that it's New York Times, right?
Yeah.
And that's impressive. How you had a New York Times bestseller.
New York
Oh,
Times is different than an Amazon bestseller.
because it's a real bestseller, right? It's an actual thing.
I'm an Amazon international bestseller.
Yeah, so is everybody.
It's like you don't see it anywhere, but it is. Hey, I want to give a shout out to everybody that's joined in today. We're here with Cory Warfield of Shedwool and Jordan, Vanessa, Chris, Maureen, Elizabeth, Sheldine, uh, Henry, Kristen. You guys are awesome. Love you. Gratitude for being here. Maureen, Kenyatta. Hey, yes. Thank you so much for everyone joining us today. We're going to be talking about engagement. I know Cory and I are both really fans of engagement, and also a little bit about what he's doing in the software arena, because that's something that I've been involved in and out of the community and startup community over a number of years. And when did you start Shedwool, Cory?
4 years ago next month, so we're getting really close to the 4-year mark.
Congratulations on that. That's
Thank you.
having had experience in the software universe. I understand some of the challenges and what it takes to grow and expand and continue to, churn is a thing and all of these things. So talk to us about the journey that you've gone through in order to, from inception to where you are today, kind of a quick snapshot of that.
Sure. So I spent 20 years working in restaurants, and kind of the guy that worked my way up from dishwasher to busboy to waiter to bartender, sommelier, F&B director, corporate manager, and I kind of ran the entire gamut. But
Mhm.
scheduling, the changing schedule needs and labor percentages and everything kind of tied around the scheduling of workers in the hospitality industry was the reason that it was the most frustrating 20 years of anybody's life, and why I had to get out. And for years I was kind of thinking that the data existed to do things like basically get rid of on-call shifts, which is a thing where people don't know if they're working until the day of, but yet the data existed. Or things like getting the right people working together, working when they wanted
Mhm.
to really improve morale and to help with the the actual customer journey. And just so many data points that were being absolutely scrapped and not leveraged. And so 4 years ago, when the restaurant I was with got bought by the first restaurateur billionaire, and I'd been through a buyout of his before, I knew they were going to find ways to save money. I knew they were going to get rid of the scheduling software, and I knew that we all needed it. So I tried to find a way to, first of all, find something that was comparable and cheaper. I couldn't find anything that was suitable, so I tried to patch some things together so that my team could at least have a way to, see when we were working, request time off, communicate with one another. Tried Facebook groups, Google pages, Google Sheets rather. None of it worked,
Yeah.
and so when I realized that there wasn't a good alternative, I put my life savings and found a team and brought the platform to life. And it took about 2 years to really create an amazing and just easy to use scheduling interface that can be used by restaurant managers or business managers, both for their ownership to be more profitable and for their workforce to be more empowered. And so that was 2 years in the making. We launched almost 2 years ago to some early adopters. We've now been building out a bunch of artificial intelligence in the background and partnering with some really, really cool AI companies that effectively have built every algorithm needed to run a business more profitably and to keep them compliant with labor laws like predictive scheduling, which was just litigated to get rid of on-call shifts because they're so terrible that they're now illegal, right? But
Right.
so we've got this amazingly easy to use, sexy interface. Now we've got all the intelligence behind it, and now we're moving into the arena where we've been talking to and passing on acquisitions from some other people that are building marketplaces. We're building our own ecosystem. We already touch and will continue to touch hiring and training and things of that nature, sales contests. The temporary job fulfillment market is huge. We're really well positioned for that, integrating with all the other both legacy and innovative software technologies that companies are using for HR and for payroll. So we're now the preferred scheduling partner of Paychex, and we're going after more partnerships with payroll companies. We've now become a target rather for the healthcare and home healthcare industries, for the security and law enforcement industries. We've got some governmental agencies that are going through the request for proposal process with us right now. So we've really grown out of the hospitality industry and into any industry that has issues around scheduling or staffing, training,
Well,
empowering communities.
anybody that has any kind of staff has that challenge. It's like, okay, are the shifts being covered? Are people getting the amount of hours they need? And are we being fair and equitable across the board? Because that may not necessarily happen on a paper and pencil kind of scheduling system, right?
Yeah, or candidly, and I wish everyone, all of our competitors luck, but candidly, most of the other software solutions as well don't offer that kind of holistic and empathetic approach. And we're taking it a few steps further with some of our new patents and IP. I mean, we're getting into the data privacy space. We're getting into the risk mitigation space. We're getting into the Internet of Things space. I coined the term Internet of Work and IOW
Right.
about 2 years ago. And I just think that there are ways with the connected world now and with automation, particularly when you start bringing the right data in at the right times to help quality of life better for workers and profitability for ownership. And so we're really having fun. 2020 is kind of our breakout year where we're introducing some more technologies, some more features. We're getting involved in the actual payment space using blockchain, and the artificial intelligence, deep machine learning space is just it's on the verge of explosion. We had a competitor of ours just raise $82 million as a Series A round simply because they introduced AI. We had another competitor of ours without AI, just a sexy scheduler like us, was bought by Intuit last year for $340 million. So the space is really starting to heat up, and people
Yeah.
are starting to understand the value that we've created and that we're bringing to the world. And it's really humbling. It's all because of my team, all because of my network. It's just been a hugely, profoundly positive experience for me. Just finding that when I put myself out there to network and to meet people and to treat people well, and it's like,
amazing what can
wow.
happen.
And it's just truly amazing, and it's not rocket science, but it definitely works.
Well, here's a couple of key points that I want to ravel that you just went over, that you breezed over, because I think it's important for people to understand is that AI, artificial intelligence, and machine learning are really helping craft some of the thought process, the analytics and the data that go through some of the decision making process, right? I mean, it helps you become more effective at how you think about things, because it's, where you'd say, okay, I know it in my gut that this is going to work, right? And the other thing is that really is profound about this whole process is that you were scratching your own itch because you saw a big problem and a gap in the market. And I think a lot of startups say they want to start something that they think is cool. They go out and build it, then nobody shows up, crickets, right? However, you started with a couple of people, you started to have conversation, and that's where engagement. So I kind of want to talk about engagement and what that means to you, because, you've been on both coasts recently talking about engagement, talking about what that means. And, I've always been a relationship person. It's always been, not necessarily what I could do for you. It's who are you? What are you doing? Who's a good introduction? How can I help you? And I think you're kind of the same vein as that. It seems like Cory Connects is really about Cory connecting people, right? So talk a little bit about the engagement process and how you think about that, and what you see and how you would recommend other people think about that.
Yeah, so for me, and apologies, I've got a big family. I've got a couple of big dogs. One of them just came and opened the door. He's in here with us now, and if he hears a squirrel out there, the live listeners may get an earful. But so for me, the first thing is I've really begun. You don't want to be contrary, but I found that really finding things that you can speak about that are unpopular. And then the other engagement tip that I really have, other than just commenting on everybody's stuff and tagging people, is to listen. I think that listening is such a powerful engagement tool. Okay, he's through with me. I think that listening is really such a powerful engagement tool in and of itself. Go. And I think so many people, especially on social media, don't show up to listen and don't show up to engage, but they really show up to kind of, get all eyes on me and look. And so things like myself, I no longer ask people how I can be helpful. So many people ask me that. It became a full-time job to find out how people can help me. Getting 100 messages a day, hey, how can I be helpful? It's like, that's not helpful. So what I found was helpful is to tell them to stop asking that and to tell them what would have been more more beneficial to me, which is, here's what you can do: engage with my content so we can get to know each other. And I'm sure there will be some ways that I can introduce you to someone, or vice versa, or maybe you need my software. I'm not going to sell you on it. Engage with my stuff. You're going to see me talking about how we make companies 10% more profitable, and maybe somebody that has a company that wants to be 10% more profitable. That's how you can help me. Here's how you can help me. Tag a couple business owners in my post about how we make companies 10% more profitable, and give me that social proof. And in return, what I'd love to do is the same for you. That's how we can be helpful. But asking me how you can be helpful and having me go to your profile and see what you do and see who you're engaged. I mean, it becomes this thing where just like these voice messages, people love to send voice memos. I have to ask everyone to please stop that. I don't have time for the one-sided conversations. Comment on my stuff. And so, because I believe, in the law of reciprocity to the nth degree, if I want people to engage with my content, if I want 500 comments on each post of mine, which for a while was an average, I think now I'm down to more like 200-300 people comment on my stuff. But if I want 500 people to comment on my post in a day, then I probably, following the law of reciprocity, should go and comment on 500 people's posts. And, not just the arbitrary great post, but, it doesn't need to be a novel either. I can say, hey, this is hilarious, Eunice, and tag 3 people that'll think it's hilarious. And by hitting like, I just gave her a piece of value. By giving her any comment, I just added a second piece of value. But those 3 tags, the social proof of Cory tagging them, the bringing them to the post when they might really enjoy it, that just added value to 3 more people's lives, and it just added 3 more bits of value. I just gave Eunice 5 valuable, moments within 5 seconds, probably.
Yeah.
And that's, as a scheduling guy, right, as the efficiency guy, I'm all about how to do things the most effectively. And if I want to comment on 500 people's posts, for me, the easiest way is to, casually and over the course of however long, get to know 500 people, make sure I'm touching all their stuff. And so probably get people out of my life that don't engage a lot, because that's not going to be as meaningful as an engagement. I like people that like to engage like I do. And we like to go and support each other and tag people in each other's comments and make introductions. And, people often say, hey, can you introduce me to so-and-so? I say, no, I can't do that because I don't have the time. I don't have time to craft a group message and wonder how to phrase it just right and ask this person if they mind and all that. And I say, here's what you do. You post some content that this person might find interesting, and I will tag them in the comment. I'll say, hey, Paula, you really need to know Tim.
Yeah.
Done. There's your intro. Take it from there. I don't even need to know how it went.
Well, and when people expect you to do more work on their behalf, then it's not necessarily a positive experience, right? So I love what you're saying about that, and I love the opportunity to share that with the community here. And also, one of the things that I think is really popular and somewhat controversial, and being from AI and the machine learning space and the software spaces, there's a lot of engagement pods and things like that. There's a lot of algorithms that every once in a while, LinkedIn will ban sites or ban people getting on board, doing automation and things like that. And it's really frustrating to me, and I'm sure you've seen this over the years, is you get a LinkedIn request and the first thing you want to do is sell you something. And it's just really frustrating for some people. And I'm just kind of curious how you've managed through that, and what your thoughts are on those items.
I'm glad you brought
automation and engagement pods.
So. Well, and then the third one's the most near and dear to my heart. I'm glad you brought them all up. So I actually helped. I was a founder of a company that built some automation tools for LinkedIn. Now, I knew they might not be, quote unquote legal, and so I never used them for myself. I just did some tests and found out that they worked, and so yeah, we brought some of that to life, and then very quickly that was poo-pooed by the algorithm and then the powers that be, and
Uh-huh.
thank God that I didn't go much further down that rabbit hole. So I've dabbled in that automation world. Frankly, I prefer authenticity on all fronts. So I'm somewhat glad that didn't work. The engagement pods, I think I'm in probably 50 of them. I probably post a link in any of them less than once a month. I
Uh-huh.
don't like them. I find that I get better engagement without them. I'm friends with the people in all of them, so I'd love to be able to see, a repository of when they posted, and if I can get to
Well, I
some
think
of
it
them, I
goes
will.
back to your statement of you like to work with people that like to engage with you as much as you like to engage with you,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And
truly. And
it's simple give and take. It's like relationship 101.
101, absolutely. And there are people in all those groups that I don't really love, and I'm co-signing. If I put a comment and say I love this post, I need to really love it. Otherwise, it
Yeah.
affects my personal brand. And so, I don't engage with those as much. God bless everybody that does. I have some friends that run and are very active in the pods. You have some of the best content in the world, and
Uh-huh.
they'd probably do just as well without them. For me personally, I find that my posts do a lot better when I don't put them in a pod. And so, unless it's a really specific, message or going out to a specific demographic that I know are very pod heavy, I don't particularly use them, and I have no problem with them. And I encourage anyone that wants kind of to throw a little gas on a fire,
Yeah.
find a pod or two if you want, and if you have the time, just understand it's very clicky. It is a bit of a time consumption. So the automation, I've tried it. I'm not opposed to it. I think it's not the right place and the right time for it. And I think that may be a net positive for this kind of LinkedIn generation of which you and I are a part. As far as the one that I really want to touch on, though, I love this topic because this and the fact that everyone says I don't connect with people without profile pics. Oh, I get animated about that. I had a super viral post about that once. It's like, no, there are 10 to 20 plus reasons to not have a profile pic, first of all. And second of all, a lot of people do, and you just don't see it because you're not connected to them yet. So don't discriminate and judge. What about people who don't want their bosses knowing they're looking for a job, or who have a stalker, or who don't want to be judged because of their weight or their age? I mean, I can go on and on about why you
Right.
might not want a profile pic. And some of my very, 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 very favorite connections in the world don't have profile pics. And some of them I've never asked, some of them I have. And every time it's like, oh, that's an amazing reason I wouldn't have a profile pic either, period.
Yeah.
But the other one that I love to talk about is when people give you that hard pitch in a first message on LinkedIn. And I've got 30,000 first connections now, so I don't see them as often as I used to. But I do still get rid of people on occasion to add others. And so once in a while, they still slip through the cracks. But I
Sure.
do things differently with that, and I love it. And I don't encourage anyone else to do this unless they have the time and it resonates with them. But for me, it's been so powerful. I decided maybe 9 or 10 months ago to stop just disconnecting with them and to stop ignoring them and to not be sassy at all and to actually try to help them. But in order to do that, I have to lie a little bit, and it's been the most fun ever. So now if I get that message, and sometimes it's someone I've been connected with for a year, but they've never messaged me. But whenever I get that first message with the sales pitch, my
Uh-huh.
response is always the same. I say, whatever your name is, it's really a shame that you just did that because I need exactly what you're selling. So whatever it is, you're a coach. I need a coach. I'm about to drop 10 grand on a coach. Oh, you're selling consulting. I need a consult. Oh, you're selling your book. I need a new book. I was looking for a new book. Whatever it is, and then I say, but I have a hard line. I don't do business with people that hard pitch on the first message on LinkedIn because it's the worst thing that you can do. It made you look terrible, and no one's ever going to do business with you, including me. And that's a promise that I've made, and you're not going to be the first exception. So I won't do business with you. I guarantee you that. But you just lost out on a sale.
Yeah.
And I'll take it a step further and say, if you would have just gone to some of my content and engaged with a few pieces of it, I probably would have gone to your profile, seen what you do, and reached out to you. And or if you'd engaged with my content for a while and sent me a message saying, hey, I'm really loving engaging with your content. Well, now we're starting to have a conversation. You could have mentioned that that you've got a book, And I've had people message me back, sometimes months after, and say, "My God, you changed my life. I never thought about that before. You got me to stop cold pitching." And it's like, for me, those are the huge successes. And I have had a few people where a month or two later they'll come back and say, "Okay, I've stopped hard pitching everybody. Will you do business with me now?" And it's like, no, I still won't. But thanks for asking. And but people have said that they've closed some pretty big deals by changing their approach as well. And so, I'm a Bible guy, and I love the whole, teach a man to fish kind of
Yeah,
thing. It's like, if
absolutely.
I can stop harassing, them harassing other people and help them make more sales, that's a
Yeah.
win-win. But candidly, I'm a bootstrapper. I haven't had the money to do business with most of them. I just love to give them that razz.
Well, and I think, and I've done a similar thing. It's educate them and explain to them why it's not very productive for them, because they're spending time with those messages, those connection requests, and going out and finding somebody. I mean, it takes time. Period. End. And if you can actually identify, send them a way that they can make a different choice, I think you're helping someone else out in the world. So it's a good thing. So, Cory, this has been phenomenal. I love that you're here. I love that you're helping others around the world. And I wish you all the best in your adventures as you go through this process of building a company, growing a company, and, helping others in the space of LinkedIn and online. And how's the best way for people to connect with you, because you're out of connection? So
Well, so here's the one thing that I've started doing that's been really powerful is I follow every single follower back. So if
okay.
anybody follows me on LinkedIn, Cory Warfield Shedwool, I will follow you back. Typically, day of, I go through a couple times a day and make sure I follow all of my followers back, unless you have something divisive or hate-filled in your name or on your profile, or unless you have one follower. I've had about 15 people in the last 24 hours with one follower follow me, and I'm a little bit suspicious about that. I test everything, so I've got my eye on those profiles, but that to me is suspect. But
Yeah.
other than that, I follow anyone that follows me back. If anybody wants me as a first connection, what you do is you start to engage with my content a little bit, and after about the second or third time you leave a really funny or intelligent comment, and I say, wait a minute, that's a second connection, I will find somebody that's not made me laugh and smile and made me feel as good about what I'm doing on LinkedIn at some point every week, and you'll be on the list of the people that when they're not there as a first connection anymore, don't be surprised if you find yourself as a first connection. So it's I'm not out of reach at all. But the other thing, and here's something that a lot of people underestimate, and Russ, I know you don't, but guys, I'm on LinkedIn mostly, but guess where else I am? Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, Alignable.
Yeah.
I'm everywhere. So find me anywhere else. I
Yeah.
love getting a new follower on Twitter. You can be the first person to actually like a tweet of mine this year, right? Like that'd be amazing. We're gonna be best friends and so I think I'm just Cory Warfield on Twitter. Um, so I get a little more opinionated there than I do on other platforms, but whatever. But like
But
Facebook,
every
guys,
every platform has its own personality, though.
absolutely. Like if
So
someone sends me a friendship request on Facebook, and I don't know them, but they're a friend of Russ's, guys, I'm gonna accept you there too. And guess what? I get a million views a week on LinkedIn. It's hard to keep up.
yeah.
I probably get 50 views a week on Facebook. I'm kind of kidding, but like that's a place I engage with multi-million follower influencers on Facebook because
Yeah.
nobody else does.
Yeah.
So
Well, and I think your experience in developing software and AI and some of the things gives you a different insight than most people. So it's nice to have you join us today and help kind of go through what you're doing in the world, and explain some things. And I'd love to have you come back at some point in the future, and I'd like to dig down a little deeper in some of the strategies behind actually keeping up with the contacts and how you manage that, because I think that's a whole nother discussion that is probably for another day. But it's always a challenge for some people to uh, maintain that consistent connection on a regular basis.
I
So
do agree. And would it be in poor form for me to do a quick sales pitch?
do us. That's why I'm here, brother.
Perfect. All right, so I do kind of supplementary. I do these master classes. I book only 11 students per class. I only do one class at a time, and I'm always filling up for the next class. It's a paid class. It's literally only 3 hours of class time at once. So it's a 1 3 hour block. All
Uh-huh.
the students get a 1 hour one-on-one with me beforehand and three one-on-ones afterwards. So I really take each student really seriously. That's kind of why I only do 11 students. And it's every single tip and trick. The students from my last classes love to talk to future students. They've all 5X'd pretty much followers, connections, views, likes. All of them have had at least one viral post with over 100,000 views and over 1,000 likes. And that's, so I don't have enough time to do that for everyone in the world. So I use my free content. My hashtag is linktips, LINKTIPS. That'll help anybody for free. But if there is anyone watching right now that wants to look at getting in, I've got three seats left for the class starting next week. And then about every 5-6 weeks, I do another class. So if anybody does want to learn some of my weird nuances, and it's not that you need to buy
In
my likes.
detail. In detail.
Oh my God, it's been so much fun. So yeah, this is the third class that we're filling up right now, and the results from the first two were mind blowing. They're all getting more engagement than I am on LinkedIn. I'm no one has over 50,000 followers yet. I just broke 60,000, so I still get to be, once the student becomes the masters, when they've got more followers than me, and then I'll just, then I'll hand them the class to teach. But it's been a lot of fun.
Well, thanks for that. Thanks for that. And I'd love to learn more about that. And also, thank you for your time and effort. I know you're busy and running around and running a company and everything else like that. I think it's important for us to highlight some of the people that are doing some good work on the LinkedIn community, especially. And I want to share that across YouTube and Facebook and make sure that these things are people understand what's going on, because I've always been fascinated by industries that you know nothing about, right? And when you find out about things like this, and it's like, okay, I buy a red car, and then all of a sudden you see the red car all over, right? You don't know about an industry until you learn something about that industry. And it's always fascinating to me that I can dig in and I can ask questions and I can talk to owners and in startups and people on LinkedIn and find out more about what they're doing. And it's just fascinating to me, and it helps, I think, the community out. So I appreciate your time.
No, I do as well. And this is you were my first. Typically, I start my days around 6:30 or 7 with these calls. You were my first call of this week, and this is a huge week for me. So no better way to have started it off than on the Pirate Broadcast with Russ Johns.
Well, thank you so much, Cory. You have a fabulous week. Maintain your content and your goodwill, and we will see you again. Kindness is cool. Smiles are free. And you enjoy the day.
Take care, everyone. Love and blessings.